Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. This is episode 2.
It's funny that you say podcast because this is not a podcast. We're not streaming this anywhere. We just call it a podcast because this has the vibe.
Oh no, I'm going to release this as a podcast. And what are we talking about today?
I was driving on a bus down here and I noticed that I passed a Billa and then I passed a Spar and then I passed a Little and I passed a Hoffer and I passed another Billa. And I'm like, wait a minute. All of these are small little chain stores. Each of these have like a couple of grocery items. You got some bread, some tomatoes, whatever. Why don't they have anything that has, like, popsicles? Why can't I get popsicles? Why can't I get, like, waffles? Or why aren't there stores as large as Walmart here in Europe? Why are they all small little...
Yeah, I think it's two things. One, it's like a cultural thing. So, believe it or not, Walmart actually was, like, in Germany at some point for, like, a couple of years. And they failed miserably for, like, multiple reasons. One of the reasons, which I find funny, is that people thought the employees at the Walmart was too friendly and it was weird. Because, like, somebody standing at the door being like, hey, how are you doing today? Here it would be like, what the fuck are you talking to me? Just leave me alone. Like, it's just culturally a different thing. Then another thing was the labor laws. So having a store run 24 hours here is basically impossible. And Walmart tried to do whatever they're doing in the US and just, like, replicate it here, kind of. Having a store like Walmart open, which is, like, one of their things 24 hours, is basically impossible here. Because when people work late, you have to, like, pay them double and things like that. So, there's a whole bunch of laws.
Why Walmart in particular isn't here.
Yes.
But why isn't there a really big Spar? Why isn't there a massive Billa that has hundreds of thousands of varieties of its options?
So there is something called an Interspar.
I've been to them, and they are basically the size of an American Walgreens. Just in case you guys are curious.
Yeah,
their biggest store is the size of, like, our pharmacy.
The sizes are quite a bit different. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we're just not used to that kind of thing. Like, when you go to it's so funny. Like, in the U.S., Walmart has these, like, neighborhood stores, the green Walmarts. And when I go there with Americans, they're like, "Oh yeah, this Walmart is tiny."
Yeah, they're also pretty rare. Green Walmarts are pretty rare.
I'm like, that is tiny. That's like Interspar basically size, and kind of the same thing. Like, you can get food and some household items, but it doesn't have, like, car parts or something.
Yeah.
You know, so. And then you have, like, the Walmarts, which are gigantic for our standards, and then you have the Walmart super centers, which are like
the regular Walmarts.
Gigantic to our standards, and then you have, like, super Targets and stuff, which is, like, even bigger. So, yeah, I don't really know. I think maybe also, like, the market just isn't big enough.
No, I think it's big enough. I have a theory. How do most people go to the store? If you're like, I need to go to the store, how do you typically get there?
I think I know what you're going for, but the thing is,
can you carry a cart's worth of goods back on a bus with you?
So, that's a very Viennese perspective. But, for example, like, there's a lot of rural areas in Austria. Most people don't live in cities here.
No, sure.
And we
Are there enough people there to be able to support a store that size?
That's the different. That's what I mean with, like, it's just not that, like, big enough of a market. I feel like, because, like, there needs to be so much, like, logistics and, like, suppliers set up and everything for Walmart, and they can do that nationwide for a lot of their stuff. I know they have, like, you know, local items and stuff sometimes, but a lot of their shit is nationwide, and there's like 300 million people that you can sell the same shit to. Mm-hmm. And here, even if you count, like, Austria and Germany together, which is not the same market, it's like 90. So I feel like that's just, I could be wrong. I just think there's probably not enough people.
Okay, so his theory is not enough people. My theory is that you guys have public transportation, and you guys don't rely on cars as much. I feel like if you want to buy things in bulk, you need to have a car. You can't, like...
Oh, yeah, no, for sure.
Costco. You guys don't have warehouse stores like we do, do you? Do you guys have a Sam's Club, or...
Kinda. You can kind of look at them as, like, Costco's. They're not as big as Costco. Who would have thought? But where you can get, like, 12 pounds of rice at once if you feel like it. What?
He works for a company that sells bags of
rice. Of course, that's where my head goes to. But there are, like, big box stores like that too, and people go there by car. It's not like everybody here takes public transportation. That's like a Vienna thing. Once you get out of it, you're, like, lost without a car. And Austria is actually quite big on cars. Same with Germany. They have like huge car culture.
Germany is big on cars.
Huge car culture there. The cities have like good public transportation, but everywhere else, everybody drives cars. But yeah, we still don't have Walmart.
Yeah, I'm just curious. No. Another thing that's interesting is in America, if you are making a meal and you realize that you don't actually have milk or you don't have eggs, it's completely normal to get in your car, drive 15 minutes to the store, pick up eggs at a supermarket like Walmart, and then drive back. You could be gone for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Whereas here, you are within like 1 block of a store everywhere you live. There is. Every block you go, there's a Spar, there's a Lidl, or there's a Billa within like a 1 block radius. So they're like ants.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot smaller stores, and I think people here. So, for example, here when you're looking for an apartment, what people will say is like, "Oh, I like this apartment. It's right next to a whatever supermarket." So, like the convenience of being right next to a thing is like a big deal here.
I feel like so another thing is like zoning laws in America.
Yeah, I feel so too. Yeah.
Because here in Europe, though, the way that they build their in Europe, they've got these things where they've got all of the people living on top, but the bottom floor of a building is like commercial. That's not a thing in America. You've got like an apartment complex.
They're trying
just apartments.
Some cities are trying.
That's true.
Yeah,
and like older cities like New York or Chicago, they'll still have some of that.
Yeah, so I don't think there's a single Walmart in New York City.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
So they just have like bodegas, they have like small stores like that, and I would say most of the residential buildings are like mixed use. Like you said, the ground floor, you have a bodega, you have like a store, you have a whatever, hairdresser. And then above that, people are like living in. And so I think that's the case, but like in a city like Houston, which is like very known for like not having
any
shit except for parking lots. It's very much like here we're going to have all the industrial shit and here people are going to live. And then they even zone it was like here you can't build apartment complexes because it's only zoned for single houses. Yeah. So I feel like that probably has a big
I feel like that
impact.
helps make it more economically viable to have one place that is the shopping center rather than having to compete with thousands of smaller little ones.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because if you have the option to go 15 minutes to a Walmart or walk down the block to a Billa, you're gonna go for the small. They just chip into Walmart's business model here.
Yeah, and then maybe once a week you do like a big grocery run and you actually go to like a Walmart or something. Yeah, I think like the culture is just different, and the convenience of just going somewhere real quick and picking up a thing or two is like a very big deal here. So our theories on why there's not any Walmarts in Europe.
Okay, I have other things that we want to
other things because I also have
go.
Some things.
I brought this one up.
Well, are your other things related to content much? Because we can do a non-content related topic, and then
this is not content. Okay, and do a content. Not content. Okay, pick a content related topic then.
So, I just want to talk a little bit about the new client that we're working for right now, because we just started that literally hours ago.
See, and neither of us have like put a whole lot of thought into this. Like, this is brand new stuff, so I'm interested to hear some thoughts. Okay.
Yeah. So, we're starting marketing for Tekka's
warehouse. Yes.
Tekka's warehouse. And it's going to be interesting because I've managed accounts before that were like more like offline businesses. So like we have the Turkish grocery store that we mentioned before. We have like
grocery store. It's a warehouse.
It's like
it's a warehouse that sells 120-pound bags of rice.
Yeah. So there you go. And then we have like restaurants and like people that do like, like singing lessons or things like that. And the whole e-com thing is relatively new to me, but I don't think like marketing wise it's going to be much different, because my theory is that what works for like one type of business works for all the other ones. Not every single specific video concept will work for everything, but like the way you get there works for every store. So you have to like think about what is it that we want to do. So for this one is we want to sell dog supplements.
Yeah. So update for just like to keep everybody on the same page. We are now working for Tekka's warehouse, which sells dog food online. They don't have a physical store. You can't physically walk in there. We're just trying to sell Amazon products here.
Also, it's not like the dry food that it's like supplements specifically. It's like treats that are supposed to give your dog the nutrients that they don't get with like dry food.
It's like the Flintstones vitamins, but for pups.
Exactly, for your puppy. And so there's with all the accounts that like I've blown up so far, if I may say, there's like a couple things that I've seen work over and over again, which is like you have to know why you're doing the things you're doing. Like, what is it that you want to get? Then another thing is like, who are you like talking to? Which you might think is just like people with dogs, but the thing is like we can make a video for a guy named Steve that lives in Wisconsin and has an old Chihuahua. Like that's how
specific
we can break it down. Of course, that comes with like.
If you are not Steve from Wisconsin with the Chihuahua, keep scrolling.
We don't want old Chihuahua specifically.
We don't want you. It has to be old.
For that specific, but then you can make the videos like super relevant for the people that you're actually trying to sell to. So I think that's another big thing.
I wonder. Okay, so pause. Let me just play this. If we make a video, we just pick a random name, a random state, and a random dog breed. I'm sure there will be somebody in that state with that name, with that dog breed. Do you think they're more likely to buy our product if we call them out that specifically?
I think so, yeah. I think so. And if we do that for like every single name and every single age group and every single state, better even, every single city.
Everybody will buy our dog food.
Exactly. And we're going to make hundreds of thousands of videos because then we have the combinations too.
Yes, and we just start like the permutations of names.
Oh my God, and dog breeds and whatever. Okay.
We just have a recording of all of us saying every name.
Yeah.
A recording of us saying every city. And we just like write scripts to like.
That'd be so funny. It's like, hey, what's up, Steve?
Are you from Wisconsin? Do you have
we know you're from Wisconsin. We already know that Steve's from Wisconsin and has an old Chihuahua. We know that you're
old brown Chihuahua.
We know that your 9-year-old Corgi has been going through some joint pains.
You're really good at that. Really good.
Yeah. The like imitation. Yeah. So, but you can get that specific. This is like, of course, we're overdoing it. But you can get that specific. It's not like TV where you have to like make one video that works for all and kind of doesn't work for anybody at that point. So that is something I've seen work over and over again. And then just having this like constant feedback loop of making shit and analyzing it, which is I think where a lot of businesses fail because they just make shit they like themselves.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I don't know why this didn't go off.
This video supports our brand image.
Yeah.
Why is nobody clicking on this and buying our products?
Exactly. It follows exactly our branding guidelines, yet nobody cares about it. Well, why do you think that is? So these are kind of like things that I think are like universally true if you're trying to build a brand new account, especially brand account. And we'll see if my theory is right with this one too.
So one of the things I'm worried about for this business is that I'm not sure about you guys, or you. I'm not sure who I'm talking to. I'm not sure about you, but I have never gone on TikTok and been like, it's a good time to shop right now. I'm feeling like spending money. So I know that TikTok has an amazing potential for views, but it's got a substandard potential for the audience willingness to purchase things.
Yep.
Instagram advertises itself as like being really good because they'll try to like buy clothes. They'll see an influencer wearing a piece of clothing and they'll go try to buy that themselves. I don't think TikTok has that same kind of monetization mindset. So we just need to get a lot of views to get that small conversion rates.
Yeah. We'll see about that. So from what I've heard from my clients,
have you ever purchased anything that you saw on TikTok?
Not directly. So I didn't go on TikTok. I clicked on the link and then bought it. What I've done before is like, oh, this is a cool product. I can't remember what it was, but I remember it being something hey, like, this is a cool product.
OnlyFans doesn't count. Okay, continue.
It wasn't an OnlyFans account. Hey, Maddie, if you're watching this, it wasn't an OnlyFans. Just putting that out there. No, but I thought it's like, hey, this is a cool product. So I closed TikTok, opened the Amazon app, and then bought it on Amazon.
Wait, what?
I saw like a product. Let's say a shelf. Sure, a shelf. And I thought...
Objectification.
I saw a shelf, and I thought, that's a cool shelf. But I didn't buy it through like their weird-ass Shopify dropshipping store. I went on like... I closed TikTok, I opened the Amazon app.
Oh.
And then I'm like, this specific shelf, buy it.
No, you bring up a really, really bad point about TikTok, is dropshippers, they like to really mark up their margins toward something that they'll be advertising for like $34.99. Yeah. You just go on like eBay or Amazon or Alibaba, like any other like actual reputable store, and you'll get it for like $7.
Yep.
And so TikTok has a really bad reputation for being kind of scammy. Do you think that that's going to affect our ability to sell products?
I think it's more based on like the seller and the websites they are sending you to, because if it's, you know how a drop shipping site looks at this point. People have like gotten used to, if it says like 8 weeks shipping, you're like, I am not buying from that. At least that's what I think. Like I said before, I've never done like e-com, so
be careful what you're saying, because that's what our store might end up looking like.
Editor, cut out this part.
So our client, they haven't finalized their website yet. Yeah. So they've just recruited us to go start advertising. They've got another designer working on their website. And so there is a potential that their website will look not that great. We don't have a say over the website. We don't have like authority over what the website looks like. So we're just hoping that they do a good job.
Yep. I really hope so. Also, a lot of whether there's going to be conversions is to a large extent out of our hands. So if we send a ton of people to the store, yet nobody buys.
Oh, hey, is that something that we should be marketing rather than the actual sales that we produce? Is it just the people traffic that click on the click-through rate? Because it's
difficult because you can also get cheap clicks on TikTok.
Oh yeah, I could buy the shit out of that. I could buy that so.
But it's people that are never gonna buy your thing in the first place. So at the end of the day, what really counts is like, can we make you more money than we're costing you?
Okay, but if we are going to do that, so this is not specific to our client. This is just like in general for the future of the business.
We're just riffing now.
Does that mean that we would want to take autonomy over the website too? Because if we are losing sales because their website is bad, that is going to affect our business. Do we want to do both of those? Is that something we can do? Can we provide that service? I generally know how Shopify works. I've never done it.
So like setting up a Shopify store and then knowing like how to structure it and how to like do the sales on the site, I think are like two different things. Because it's the same with TikToks. It's like I can know how to edit. Doesn't mean I know how to make a good TikTok. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think there's like experts out there that have built like thousands of landing pages and gotten into the analytics and like click rates on different elements on the site and like where you put things and how do you place elements on a site. And I know that's not me. But if we see something that we think like could be improved just from like a consumer standpoint, it's like, hey, this is confusing to me, a person that just clicked on it. I think we should definitely forward that feedback. Also, I think it's going to be important for us to like be quite picky who we work with, because another thing that we've talked about earlier when we were like filming and stuff is we can either sell videos to companies that they them personally like, or we can sell actual business results. I don't think you can do both. Because once you get into, hey, do you like this video? Asking a marketing department, and the marketing department is like, yes, we really like that. It's probably not a great video.
Yeah, if the company okays it, it's not going to do well on TikTok.
If the company goes through the script and gives you notes on it, it's probably already too late.
Oh, so I don't want to work with clients that have to give them scripts before we post the video.
Yeah.
I don't want to work with clients that have that.
Exactly. So I think from our side, it's also going to be about like being quite picky who we work with, but then like putting real effort into it and telling them it's like, hey, this is about like your business results. If you want like website traffic, we can get you that. If you want to make sales, we can help you make sales. It's not about making videos that Diane in marketing likes.
I do think that if a company came back and they're like, hey, so this video you posted, that's not quite what I'm feeling. I feel okay with that. But if they want me to like start giving them approval before we post anything, I feel like that's the death. That's the death.
There's so many feedback loops in like the more corporate side of marketing, where it's like we have a concept that needs to get approved, then we write the script that needs to get approved, then we have a shot list that needs to get approved, then we have
revisions that need to get approved.
Revisions with shit that first got approved, but then they end up didn't liking it in the end. All of this stuff, it slows you down, and there's no way you can get results by posting 4 videos a month. because that's how much time it takes to do all those fucking loops back and forth. Because you send them an email and it's like, oh, they're out of the office today. We'll get back to you by Friday. And they're like, but that's in 4 days. We should post like 16 things until then. So that's something I don't want to get into because I already know we're not going to get them the results they want. And then it's constantly going to be like, hey, let's work together. We don't like the video you made, then we change the video, then we don't get them results, and they're like, where's the results? And then we're going to be like, well, you didn't let us do what we wanted to do, and it's just, no.
Businesses, they like doing that.
No.
They like hiring somebody else to do their TikToks for them, to do their marketing for them. And then they think that they're so good at marketing that they should tell the person how to make the videos. Like, if you're hiring us to do something, let us do the thing.
Yeah.
We know what we're talking about.
And if we still can't figure out, fire us.
Yeah.
Like, if we give it our best shot with what we know and with what we can do, and we still don't get you the results, fire us. Yeah. I'm okay with that. But,
totally fair.
But I don't want to be fired because somebody else told me how to make a video, and then it failed, obviously. And then they're like, it didn't work. And I'm like, yes, I know, I told you. I told you. Like, that's, no. That's like an endless trial and error trip. Let's move on to a new subject, shall we? What do you have on your list?
Okay, so there's 2 headlines here. You don't have the links to these, so you can't see this. But apparently, iPhone 15s, they're getting a new chip in them that is going to specifically integrate with the Apple Vision Pro.
Yes.
Apparently, this is going to be a thing that Apple is going to start pushing so that your phone will be able to better integrate. You'll be able to, like, send things back. What do you think about the AR, VR space now that Apple has thrown their gauntlets into this?
I think it's too early to tell.
I think it's technically incredible. The fact that they've got OLED screens on the front and the back and the cameras, I would laugh my ass off at somebody if they walked into a coffee shop wearing that. Like, there is not a situation where you can wear a headset like that in public and not look like you're trying to be Lady Gaga.
I think Facebook Meta, sorry, they've tried to do something that nobody asked for. Nobody asked for to be in more immersive meetings.
I want to be in less immersive meetings.
I want to be less immersed in meetings. That's like the
email. That's the solution. Facebook.
I don't even want to email. I don't even want to call you. Why would I want to be like? And then people started buying real estate in the metaverse. Like, what the absolute fuck? Okay,
that's where all of our offices are going to be in the next 6 months.
I don't want to be in the office at all. Like, why would then you put those heavy ass things on? And no. So, I think what they've actually succeeded to a certain point is like, we're gonna make this thing for one specific purpose, which is gaming. And games are gonna be fun to play with this thing on your head. I think that's the one thing they succeeded at because I can feel that people actually like and enjoy doing that. Not everybody. It's still like $800 or whether the Quest Pro or whatever it's called. So there's still like a barrier of entry, and it's still heavy, and you still need to connect it to a computer and things like that. But at least I kind of get the feeling that people would want to game in a VR headset.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a need.
And I think that is the point. It's going to be like, what can you do with the Vision Pro? Is there going to be certain experiences created for it to, like, for example, you can now video edit, but in 3D. So you have like layers behind each other that can do things and you can interact with them at the same time? Or is it just going to be like a flat screen of DaVinci inside Vision Pro?
I think that is the biggest thing that is going to happen with that Apple Vision or the iVision Pro, whatever they're calling it.
Vision
the
Pro.
Problem. Have you ever used a 3D augmented reality headset?
The Quest something?
Have you played any of the games? Have you played any of the content for these? They look like tech demos. They look like something that you would show off for like 15 seconds to a news media outlet. Really impressive for the first like 15 seconds, and there's nothing there. There is no content for these headsets because there's not a market for these headsets, so developers can't put funding into, and it's just like a catch-22. There's nobody here to play games, so there's no games for people to play.
It's like gaming on Mac.
Yeah.
Whereas like developers are like, we want to develop games on Mac because nobody games on Mac, and then everybody's like, Mac sucks at gaming, so why
they don't want to play games on Mac, and so I think that the thing that is going to make or break the Vision Pro is if this can get large-scale developers to create solid content for this space. If they can, then they've got the iPhone effect. The iPhone literally created an industry because they were able to get developers, because they were able to get that ecosystem going. if they can't get this, I think the headset dies. I think AR/VR dies if Apple can't get developers on board.
And I think also if like Apple can't get developers and people on board, then nobody can.
I think that they intentionally priced this like they did, intentionally to get people to not buy it. This is testing it. This is like,
I can see that.
If they can afford to put this for like $1,000, $800. I'm not sure what their actual cost is, but they can afford to bring the price down. I think that they're doing this so that it doesn't become a flop, so that there's not millions of people with this thinking that Apple fucked up.
This is such an interesting conversation. I think first of all they did it because they knew they had to do something so much better than Facebook has done so far.
True.
Because otherwise people are going to say, well, this already exists. So they had to do something that's like magnitudes better.
And I agree. They hit that. They hit that so far out of the park. They did good.
Like on the
technical specs. Yes.
I think they did that. Then another thing that Apple...
Except the battery life. That is a joke.
That is weird.
That is a joke.
That is weird. Just give it a wire.
all of the videos, they intentionally hide the cable.
The thing in the battery. It's like a battery pack that you... Okay, that's weird. But I can also see why they did it. Because the Oculus, they're so heavy. You can really only keep them on your head for like 15, 20 minutes. And you're like, I need to take this fucking thing off. And the Vision Pro, from what I've heard, is still quite heavy.
Oh, yeah, it's glass. Like, it's glass and metal.
Glass and screens and, like... Whether you... But, again, like, people stare at screens for hours and hours. How long are you going to have this thing on your head that hurts you? Then, again, maybe they just price it at $3,500 so that only the people who are gonna love it anyway are buying it in the first place. Because they're like, I love Apple. I cannot live without this thing. I will like, sell my house to get one of these. Of course they're going to love it. You can't spend $3,500 on this thing and then say it's mid. You can't do that as like a consumer.
Okay, yeah.
You have to post about how great they are.
Huh, that's true. Okay, see, but then if it is mid, then there's not going to be a lot of consumers out there to actually say that it's mid.
Yeah, which like they can just like push it along the thing, and also I feel like.
Okay, see, but that comes back to the actual link, is that they're actually adding a new chip to the iPhone to be able to make this interact with the headset better. They're actually integrating this in the rest of their system. It looks like this might actually be a thing that they're pushing.
I'm going to say something. I think even within Apple, a lot of people are probably like, why are we wasting our time on this thing? Like, it's never worked before. Nobody really like, hey, I've had this great AR experience yesterday. Like, it's not a thing that like exists in the world.
Is that a limit of the hardware or the medium, or is that a limit of the software that's been developed for it?
Don't know, but I think there's probably people within Apple that are like, why are we spending our money on? But they're so like far into it that they kind of can't back out of it anymore. They're like, okay, we have to do this, where we're gonna change the world and revolutionize the world again, or bullshit they're saying, with this new Vision Pro thing. That's just... I have no data to back this up.
I think that Apple is...
No data.
Freaking out because the iPhone sales are depleting, MacBook sales are going down. Like, it looks, if you just look at their graphs, it looks like they're cresting their little top part, and so they need to come up with new things. They need to have innovation.
I think so.
This looks like a market or
also
a research.
iPads are falling off a cliff.
Okay, see, but it's also interesting because Android devices are falling off a cliff faster.
Yeah.
Like, the entire market for tablets is going down,
yeah.
but Android is going down faster. So I think that they're still holding.
Also, iPads started a lot higher up, so they have like more leeway to.
They have like 50% of the entire market.
Like Android tablets is a difficult story, but yeah, that's my 2 cents on the Vision Pro.
So, would you purchase a Vision Pro knowing that it came from Apple, or would you go for like a Metaverse Quest Pro 3, assuming they had similar content? Would you justify paying an excessive premium for Apple's
Apple experience
for the cameras and the OLED screens?
Me personally, no, because it doesn't bring me enough things that I want out of a device for that amount of price. I would rather get a laptop for that price. Because I know
that's a good laptop. You can buy a good laptop for that
even
price.
From Apple. Like, that's a 16-inch like pretty nice spec, and I know that I'll be able to use that thing for the next 6 years for things that I actually need to do on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's where we get back to like what you can do with the Vision Pros. If there's something that's like cool to do with them that you can't do with any other device, and they drop the price a little bit in like the second generation, maybe, then
you know what I hate?
guess, but I don't know, man. For me personally, I don't see myself buying it.
I hate when you are looking at some of the products like this, and the tech reviewers, they start talking about what could happen in the future.
Yeah.
And they start talking about 3D movies where it's filmed with a camera so that you're like actually in the movie there with them. Like that doesn't exist. That's not gonna. Nobody wants to have a movie where they're not sure where they're going to be paying attention to. They want to know where the. I don't think that there's going to be new mediums opening up because people have screens strapped to their face now.
The one thing I can see this being good for is gaming. When you're like immersive in a game and it's like an open world thing and you can go here and you go there, anything that you can do now with like you have a big ass map that you can explore. To have that in this like 3D world, actually similar to what like Meta tried to do. Like you can play Minecraft in a quest thing. And you can just go explore and you go up and down and like back and forth and you feel like you're actually falling off a cliff and you get that like little gut moment, you know, like I think that's like an experience that you can make for yourself. But a movie is like, no, I want you to tell me a good story.
Yeah.
It's going to be what they do with it and who they can get on board to make cool things with it. What was the other thing that they didn't get people on board? They had, have you ever had an iPhone that had 3D touch?
Oh, yeah, and then they just
like
silently phase it out because you could just simulate it with software for the length of the touch.
The problem with that was that Apple didn't allow developers to explain to people how 3D touch works. So you couldn't bring up like a little thing is like, hey, if you like force press this down, something will happen. Apple said you can't do that in your apps because we want this to be like an organic thing
they just
and stuff.
Understand that you push really hard on your piece of glass.
Yeah, which like nobody knew because it was new. And people don't just hard press on their phones like naturally. So they didn't let this become a thing that people were used to.
That actually brings up my next topic really well.
Cool, let's get into it.
So there was a news article recently that came up that there was a web that
Before we do that, I just want to check everything is still running. That is. Let's just assume the audio is too. All right, next topic.
So there was a news article that came around.
Yes.
You've heard about Apple's monetization. They want 30%. You cannot have something in there that gives an option to pay in a different way.
Yes.
If you are transferring money, if you're selling a product on an app, on an iPhone, Apple wants their 30%.
Any transaction, like microtransaction in the game, same thing.
The only exception is if you're selling a physical good. So if you have the Amazon app on your phone and you're purchasing a physical product, Apple doesn't get their cut from that. But
interesting.
If you're selling digital goods, if you're selling digital things, Apple wants their 30%. There is a website that lets you tip other people in Bitcoin. That is obviously not something that Apple accepts. Apple does not have an API for you to be able to the blockchain doesn't even work like that. You can't like funnel off different amounts of your thing. Totally incongruent with Apple's system. But Apple is fine with them tipping on Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. They just want 30% of that. And they are going to delist this application. It's a large application in like Russia or whatever. They're going to delist this application because they are not paying 30% of their Bitcoin taxes, while Apple does not allow you to pay 30% of your. They're just cutting the app out. What are your thoughts on Apple's monetization policies, as a European who does not benefit from Apple's monetization policies?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a big thing to get into. So first of all, it's not just Apple. Like the Play Store is basically the same thing, as far as I know.
Yes, but on the Play Store, you do have the option to let them pay with their own credit card.
Yes, also on Android, I can just download a program from the internet and install it.
True.
So there's that.
It's called side loading.
Yeah. Or like alternative app stores exist for like specific like gaming app stores on Android.
They're super shady. They're super shady.
Yeah, and
except F-Droid. That's cool.
F-Droid?
It's all of the apps are open source.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
cool. So on the one hand, I understand Apple because they're like, we've invested like billions and billions in creating this ecosystem. Ecosystem.
I know.
With like app stores and the hardware that it runs on and the operating system that it runs on. Like it's all Apple. We've spent the money. They've also made plenty of money off of that, but
positive ROI, definitely.
Very positive. Very, very positive. So they're like, okay, we want to like keep the control over it and stuff, but I think that goes like further than just the monetization, because Apple also tells you what you can do in your apps and what you can't do. So for example, you can't bring up like a little notification that says, hey, if you want more information about this, go to our website.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do that as as an iOS app developer because Apple will not allow your app on the App Store.
Yeah.
So there's lots of...
Oh, no, my camera turned off. My battery died. oh well, I've got enough to be able to clip some sound bites and then add.
Oh no, now it's saving the video part. So, I kind of understand, but at the same time, let's not pretend that they're doing it for any other reason except for money.
Absolutely.
So I think both can be true. I think they can have good reasons behind it, but also, at the end of the day, they're doing everything they're doing for money. Like, advertising that the iPhone is so secure, that's not because they are so in love with privacy and data protection. It's because they can sell that as a feature.
Yeah.
And yes, there's some good reasons behind these policies of like keeping everything like super walled off and stuff, but let's not pretend that it's for any other actual reason than this is how we make more money. It's the same thing as like certifying fucking lightning cables.
Oh yeah, the MFC standard.
Yeah. So if you don't know, if you want to sell like an official lightning cable, that's because it's a proprietary connector that Apple came up with. So they're like, every time you sell a lightning cable, you have to give us like $6 or whatever it is. So yes, you don't want your phone to blow up, but I'm sure there's plenty of manufacturers who figured out how to make this goddamn, like, what is it, like an 8-pin cable or something like that, without making your phone blow up.
But if you want that stamp that says MFC certified, costs you $6 a sale.
And of course they're doing that for money.
That's the primary reason why they have not moved their iPhone from USB-C.
And they're pissed that they have to put USB-C on it.
Yeah.
And now they're like, oh yeah, it will like hinder like the standards moving forward if we're like stuck with this one standard. And I'm like, bro, you came up with Lightning in 2014. You're using USB-C 2.0. If I want to transfer a video, it's going to take me 8 hours. The fuck are you talking about innovation? If there's going to be better connectors in the future, then yeah, let's all agree that we're going to use Thunderbolt 11 or something at some point. Yeah, so all they're doing is doing shit for money.
Okay, so the question is, the overarching question here, are there tactics enough to cause you to switch, to cause you to change your behavior, or will you just support them? Will you vote with your wallet?
No. I don't think people care enough about these things to change their behavior on it.
I'm not sure if you've noticed, but Spotify costs more on an iPhone than it does on an Android. Yeah. I think that is the best way to approach this. I think that just make the customers pay for it.
I think so too.
If they're choosing to use an iPhone, make sure that they're the ones paying for Apple's fees.
Yep. I agree. I don't think, unless you make it really inconvenient to people, they're not going to change. Because why would they?
Yeah.
Like, why would I care what kind of cut Spotify loses on? Like, I don't.
Yeah, I don't care what Spotify's margin is.
I really could not give less of a shit. And like, normal people that aren't, like working with their phones every day, they download like 8 apps. They have like WhatsApp, they have Spotify, and a bunch of games. And like, why would I care about the split and the
No, you're talking about their privacy, how they value their privacy, and they cut off the ad tracking for everybody just to start serving their own ads.
Yeah.
They are the textbook monopoly. They're like the textbook of what a monopoly is. And I'm honestly not sure if I think that they should be cracked.
Yeah,
I think back in the day,
that's another difficult.
Would you argue in favor of splitting up companies like Google or Apple or Amazon? What benefits would we get and what harms would we see?
I think to do something like Amazon, and we're not talking about like AWS or something like that.
I don't think you can crack up Apple. I think that's important to mention. They are so tightly wound together. I don't think you can split this up in a way that is.
And I think that if you're trying to do something like Amazon is doing with like 1-day shipping or overnight shipping, you can order something at like 4 p.m. and have it on your doorstep 7 a.m. the next day. I don't think you can do that unless you're at that size.
Yeah, no, we are definitely getting some real value because they have the economies of scale to be able to make these features work.
I guess the way we look at monopolies would need to change for that, because the old way of looking at monopolies is like, monopolies are bad because they can take over a market and then jack up prices.
Yeah.
The thing is, we haven't really seen that.
We are entering a recession.
Much.
Prices are coming up.
We haven't really seen that so far, because what Amazon has done is like, hey, we're going to come up with our like Fire things. And they tried Fire Phone at some point, and the tablets.
They're losing
and the
so
Kindle
much money. They lost
stuff.
like $3.4 billion.
And they're undercutting other people. They're selling it for like a loss. So traditionally we're looking at that as like, that's not a problem because they haven't raised prices to a point where like there's no competition in the market anymore. But they're like killing off the competition by being able to undercut other people. So is that a bigger problem? Is that not as much of a problem because right now we're getting cheaper shit because of it? I don't know.
We were getting cheaper shit. Capital investment, they're cutting off all of their free money from Wall Street. So businesses are being forced to be profitable. Places like Amazon, places like Uber. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but Uber prices have gone significantly higher than they were before. Who is going to compete with Uber? Taxis? Are you gonna call up your taxi now? No, probably not. You've got Lyft, Uber, and Bolt. They've got I think it's called an oligopoly on this. Yeah. You can't break into this because it's so expensive. But now they can set their prices at whatever they want. But if you break them up, then the business doesn't even have any market at all.
No, how would a company like Apple run if it was a sixth of the size?
No, like which parts of this would go? Like oil. Standard Oil is like the thing that they talk about.
Was it the one that was like vertically integrated?
Yeah, vertically. They owned everything. And so they split it up to where some parts of this get these oil things, some parts get the distribution, some parts get the logistics, and they were just like, figure it out among yourselves. I don't think you can split Apple up like that because it's just software. Apple is just software.
But then they also have like services that they offer.
Which is software.
They make the hardware.
Which doesn't run without the software. Like I don't know.
I guess you would be looking at like a Microsoft Windows PC maker kind of thing, where they would need to force Apple to open up macOS to other manufacturers, I guess.
Huh.
But then the whole selling point of Apple would be gone at that point, where they're like, you get everything, you get the hardware, you get the software, you get like...
Yeah, that would kill the company.
The experiences, you get the interconnection between the devices and everything. They make their own fucking chips at this point for everything. They would... I don't know how that would...
Okay, so now let's bring in China into this.
Oh, boy.
That's what I think about when I think about these monopolies, is that like... I think that globalization has gotten to a point where monopolies are a thing. I don't think that we are going to get away from monopolies. Would you rather have American monopolies or Chinese monopolies?
Oh, American.
America, fuck yeah. And so that's what I think about when I think about breaking these up, is like, if we break apart Amazon, Alibaba will just fill Alibaba will take the position. And
I can see that.
China's not going to break up Alibaba. They're gonna hide the CEOs and kidnap them.
The whole point of China is that it's one single ass monopoly.
Yeah.
This is like... This is well above our pay grade.
Yeah, we are not. We don't know shit.
Let's just make this very clear. We don't
know
anything.
Make your financial decisions based on what you just heard us say.
We don't know anything.
Go short Apple stock. They're getting split up real soon.
Oh my lord, oh my lord.
Thank you guys for listening to this. We don't have any more topics.
Thank you so much for listening, for watching. Podcast, YouTube, all that. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Peace out.